So I had this dream about Michael Flynn quite a while ago now, in which there were two Michaels. One was on the right-hand side of my bed, and he was a huge angel, absolutely enormous. But on the left-hand side of my bed was Michael Flynn. And he was yellow, his skin, everything, all his clothes were yellow, and he was in a yellow wheelchair. Well, I've wondered about that dream for quite a long time because even though I have had suspicions that Laurie Flynn is not a woman, I have not, there's the narrative with him is so, pro, even when he came out with that prayer of the seven rays. But when I see him sitting in front of the this fake background with all his Christian paraphernalia, it just sends me the wrong way, quite frankly. And when I see him, here he is here. I've kept the sound off because it's that program. But notice, can you notice the red bracelet that he's wearing? Okay, it's very distinctive and very nice, fancy blue jacket. And I can go into a whole lot of stuff, but I'm not going to. I will leave that for another recipe another day. Hopefully it will whet your appetite. But I came across some evidence that would really confirm what my suspicions were, and it's not good, but it's all to do with the opposite narrative to what is being played, because some of you might remember, some of you actually sent me the video link where there was a video of Alex going to a meeting. There was a meeting of these people, and Michael Flynn's family was there with him, and Alex went out. It was like an outdoor thing. It was like a protest thing or something like that, and Alex went, it was on his bullhorn, and he was calling out to Michael Flynn, Michael, hey, Michael, that sort of thing. And Michael really gave him the cold shoulder, as did his whole family. And also in the background was Patrick Burns, who I also have had very strong suspicions about since I saw him, or somebody I believe looked just like him, and he's quite distinctive, at one of those parties on the ships. I cannot say anymore. He was amongst those people that he should not have been amongst. And then the next thing, there were photos of him after he'd left Overstock, walking around with little children on his shoulders. Now I know that shouldn't be a problem, and all the little children running around their feet, and I know that shouldn't be a problem, but the simple fact is that these kids, in these countries, they do, they have no understanding really of the things that happen to them, and that anyone that will give them anything, any money, it's a bit Stockholm syndrome. They learn to love their abusers. But what I really wanted to talk about today was I want to talk about the good news. The good news that even though it's all pretty crappy, and my latest trip to Queenstown was just as momentous as the last one, in which gosh, it's so disgusting, in which I ended up with a photo in front of Alex's car. Can't say his name. This time I went to they call it a gallery. I don't know if you can see this. This is meant to be art, but this isn't art. These rich pedos commission artists these are maps, I believe, of actual places, and they got these great big teddy bears with human legs. Can you see them? Right? Just unbelievable. And these robes. So these are the maps. These are the underground tunnels. You can see the blood. I believe these are actual places, and as they say, hidden in plain sight. And I ended up, I'll see if the bit where so they've got these robes, I've got these, okay, here's this one. Here, can you see that? So that's him and his genitalia and his robe. And you know, they've wearing the cross of the Templar cross, you know, and naked underneath. And I ended up going to the police about it because it just shouldn't be seen publicly there. And I actually ran into a man who said that he was actually thinking of going in there because of the teddies. You know, he had 3 grandchildren with him. So I said, whatever you do, don't go there. But anyway, so that's what they're doing. But I just praise God that just as my daughter relayed to me a story that she was just reading in the newspaper of a top art critic, very well known in New Zealand, who has been sentenced to like 10 months home detention for, you know, the most hideous crimes, the most hideous pornography that you could ever imagine anyone having. But, you know, initially the whole the horror of you know, the light sentence was replaced, you know, by understanding that something else is going on, and that a person his age, so he must be sort of like at least in his 80s, you know, so it's, you know, what would putting someone like that in prison do? And but I believe it's all part of this. And if you don't know what this is, I can't say it out loud, but this has to do with that sign, the latest sign that I've shown you, which I believe is Saint Germain. Okay, so I'll just explain that to you now. I'll just see if I can get the picture up on the screen again. And that came to me. Thankfully, so here it is again, okay? Do you remember seeing that? So I was showing that to people down in Queenstown, and can you see that? Was there too much reflection, I think? In my room, I would just go. So have a good look. Can you see the eyes, the cheekbone? So I sent it to Robert Pittman. And this time I'll do what my husband tells me, and I'll try and use my mouse to point out to you, because I don't use my mouse and I end up pointing to the screen on my desk, and you of course don't know what I'm talking about. But where is my mouse? You may ask, where is my mouse? My mouse is nowhere to be found. Haha, there it is, I've got it. So, this is the good news, I believe. And I found it, okay, right, here you go. So, can you see the eye? There's the eye there. This very distinctive eye. There's an eyebrow. If anyone can tell me what this great big, you know, planet is, or whatever star system is, I'd love to know. So here's his cheekbone, and here's his nose, and here's the top of his, you know, his flume, and the top of his moustache, and the beard. Now, initially, as I said, I thought it was female. It had a very soft warmth about it. But then when I looked at it, I thought, no, that's actually a man. And it made me think of Saint Germain, who I've only come to know because of this this here, okay? And so today, just by pure accident, I, in replying to Robert Pittman, and it was just a simple thing, you know, you'd like to think that this is just an accident, but it isn't, you know, and the more these things happen to us, the more we've got to actually trust them and know that we are getting messages from somewhere else. So I was telling this man, Robert Pittman, who, look him up if you know, want some inspiration, he's amazing, that my daughter and son-in-law were going to this sort of I don't know what you call it, a growth seminar type of thing. And his name was actually Joe Dispenza, but I couldn't remember it, so I thought of, all I could think of was Spinoza. And that took me to this, the God of, that Einstein believed in the God of Spinoza. And so Baruch de Spinoza was a Dutch philosopher considered one of the great rationalists of the 17th century philosophy, along with Descartes. So, and here I found all sorts of things. And but one of the things is just the thing that I wanted to talk about today was one of these. I'll show you. I'll actually see if I can see. So this talks about what we were talking about, and has a picture. Okay, so what is there? Can you see it? What is that? So many of you won't even know of it, and because it's considered in the Christian world New Agey, it's really frowned upon. So as you can see there, that man looks very much like the face in the sky. Would you not agree? And you know, he is also very much like, I don't know if you know what they call Maitreya, and Maitreya is the New Age. The New Age Messiah. So it's, you know, it's these things are not actual so much people, although they have come through, they have been here, they have been time travelers, but it's just like Jesus. You know, as I've shown you, I really believe that Jesus is Apollyon, and you know, and that he's been, and that, you know, that thankfully, even though all this, you know, this Christian stuff, you know, they have twisted it, you know, and you know, made up just outright lies, you know, and even though I was angry for quite a time, you know, I praise God because I wouldn't have come to where I am now, but for them, you know, for them, if I didn't know, you know, believe it to be true and then find in the Bible that it wasn't true, then I wouldn't know how to argue and I wouldn't know the truth at all. So, but this, okay, so it hasn't got a picture of him here, but if you look it up, you'll find images that look very much like that. So, but what, you know, back to that hideous pedophile thing. When my daughter, when she told me that, you know, about him not, you know, getting punished at all, really, to speak of, you know, there's this understanding that I have now, and because of a film that I saw, which I believe is, you know, very possible, and how these people have been brought to these lows, and in the letter that I saw today, the woman was talking about the fires in California, and that was interesting also because I met a man who lived in California. He lived in Martha's Beach, and he'd actually met, you know, he's an American, and I mentioned Trump, and they go crazy. Same old. But that happened in Queenstown last time too. Woman walked out of the restaurant saying, "You're crazy, you're crazy," you know, because they just hate Trump so much. They just have Trump's derangement syndrome, and. But this man, his wife was a psychiatrist, and after he went, I said to her, you know, that he's going to be in catatonic shock when he wakes up, you know, and she, you know, she nodded her head, yes, she knows. But, you know, he just idolises, you know, Obama, and because he was walking in Myrtle's Beach and with his daughter, 10-year-old daughter, and wondering whether, you know, what he should do for her schooling, and Obama, you know, came and talked to the little girl and asked her where she was going, and, you know, she said that she didn't know, you know, because she was actually at a school in California at $40,000 fees, and maybe just for that term. And Obama quite pointedly said, you know, tell Daddy that, you know, the best place to be is here. that California was not the place to be. So he took that advice and got her out of that school, got his money refunded, and had her in Myrtle's Beach, and where they are. So, but I came across this. And I just thought this was lovely because so many of you may know my story about this. This is this painting that was once angels, right? It's a great big painting on my wall. I've shown it many, many times. But it was originally a painting of Jesus coming back on the clouds. And I finished it, and I was very pleased with it. And then, but then just something told me, no, there's something blasphemous about that painting. There's something wrong. And so I ended painting over it. And this is this is the view from my veranda. And just before I was about to put it into the art awards, God got me to write those words on it. And the words are, "Come, let us return unto the Lord. He has torn us to pieces, but he will heal us. He has injured us, but he will bind up our wounds. After 2 days he will revive us. On the 3rd day he will restore us, that we may live in his presence. Let us acknowledge the Lord. Let us press on to know him. As surely as the sun rises, he will appear. He will come like the winter rains, like the spring rains that water the earth." And there's my Trumpy there. Finally come home. Oh, I can't see him from my blimmin' spinning chair. Hey, Trumpy. Hey, darling. Been away for 7 days. It's been horrible. Anyway. So I'll just take you on to this lady's, what she said, and it just so speaks to how Jesus is really coming back. After the fire, after the rain. And in this, she doesn't even ever mention all the scriptures, okay, which hopefully that will come back, will it? All the scriptures about the, I'll leave that till later, about how God this time judges by fire. If you're a Christian, I'm sure you know what they are. But here she says, March the 15th, 2023. Everyone's thinking about the rain, wondering if, leave that on there, beautiful picture. Okay, so that's Cat Stevens. Everybody's thinking about the rain. Wonder if the sun's going to come again. Things are looking bad. Tell me if you've got to build a world, what that world would be. Tell me if it's going to be a home for all humanity. News reports insist I should be worried because California is undergoing torrential rain dumped by atmospheric rivers. Catastrophic flooding throughout much of the state is predicted. A major levee broke in Monterey County. A friend in Silicon Valley texted that she's turning off her phone since they're going into day 2 without power. Another friend sent a video of ducks frolicking in the lake that now covers part of 1580 in Oakland. I don't know. I look out the window and see a painter's landscape of mountains, multi-toned clouds, sunlight, palm trees. There's a peacefulness completely at odds with the mainstream presentation of this day in California. Granted, this may be only because I personally am not affected. Perhaps the peace is only within me. Isn't that beautiful? The drought we've endured here for decades has never felt normal to me. The epic wildfires of the last 20 or 30 years have been heartbreaking, terrifying and weird. Even before I started tuning into the alternative viewpoint and consciousness, before I heard about direct energy weapons and weather manipulation, the endless drought and the inferno-level wildfires seemed malevolent, unnatural. Doesn't God love California anymore? It seems delusional to imagine this excessive rainfall could be benevolent and when looking at what it's caused, broken levees, flooded towns, powers outage, and extensive loss of mature trees. Despite current appearances to the contrary, though, rather than feeling abandoned by God, it feels like God has returned to California with celestial buckets of water to douse the smouldering earth and cleanse this gorgeous, beleaguered state down to the core of the earth. Okay, my heart is deeply connected to the heart of this golden state, this paradisiacal California. I was born here and I've lived here all my life, but it's more than that. It's a love of the land, a love of the spirit of the state that is so intrinsic, it's almost never conscious. Now, I just, I want to now just take you back to the Maitreya, the to what is, what this, I can't say the word, and what is Saint Germain, because here it speaks of, okay, so there he is again, okay, so just remember that picture of mine in the sky. Since Nesara has been mentioned several times recently, please allow me to give a short summary of what, I won't say it again, I shouldn't have said it. You can see the word. The acronym NESA thingy, I will just show what it means. It stands for National Economic Security and Reformation Act, okay? So, as a spiritually directed financial program, it traces back to the work of Saint Germain and 3 other ascended masters. That work began in the 15th century and was designed to provide a new economic system for the world during the present time of transition. This time will be heralded by an infusion of great abundance. This prosperity will be largely due to the endurance of our earthly allies and the brilliant strategies set in motion many centuries ago by the ascended masters Count Saint Germain, Master Hilarion, Sepphoris Bey, and Saint Paul the Venetians. So these 3 holy beings were able to bring to this realm a financial and monetary plan whose secret purpose is to enable great abundance to rain down at the appropriate time. Although Saint Germain is ultimately responsible for its success, each of the ascended masters we have mentioned has played a significant role in its present day preparation. I'll finish in a second. Briefly, the Ottomans, Turks, Habsburgs of Austria, the Bourbons of France, and the Holy See, that's the Roman Catholic Church, has conspired in the past to create a system of banking and trust that has lasted till this day. The origins of their created fractional banking systems are revealed in the ancient treasures of Rome, Persia, India, and China, and in the many empires of the world. Okay, so you can look this up. I'll go back to the thing. So there's lots of great stuff in it, and if you remember some of the prophecies of Kim Clement talking about Bill Gates will open up the gates to a new financial realm for God's people. It's just you've got to decide who God's people are, and it may not be who you think they are. And I believe people like Flynn, and I'll show you in my next video, and even Alex, I've got videos of him with where he's implicated by what's it got there? I'll take you back to something else. Who was the guy that was killed? I'll show you something else. Last night I had a dream, how unusual. And in the dream it was showing these people pretending. This talks about all those that there has been a big operation going on, just as some of us believe that whole movement that we cannot mention, that is what Saint Germain is all about, and also JFK Jr. and last night my dream was watching these people like Jacinda. It was actually Clinton. Actually, it was Bill Clinton, and his face. You know, the guy was sort of moving, pretending to be him, but you could just tell a mile away there was no way that was Bill, but he was just acting out the places. And I believe that that's what's happening now, that if we see Jacinda again, it will be yet another, clone, and that she is incarcerated. I've done videos about that earlier, and so this here is, I'll see, there's a picture for those of you who don't believe in this yet. So here's a couple of pictures of the Clintons, and as you can see, this one here, this Hillary, her forehead comes up to Bill's nose, and this Hillary, her forehead comes just under Bill's chin, but there's just no way, so they've been, so this talks about, that these people have been executed a long time ago, and what we're seeing now, just as, I told you a long time ago that there's just no way that that inauguration was real. There, you see Biden and his wife walking down that passageway. They were absolutely petrified, no doubt about it. And that's what I've also believed about Jacinda, that everything that we're seeing. So just as that art critic, got that really lenient sentence, on one hand, it's going to cause people to be absolutely furious, which is a good thing to wake them up. But on the other hand, it's just opening up, just that this is what's going on, that this is nothing unusual, and it's for them, just like I showed you, to be able to blatantly show it at a top top art gallery, in sight of everybody, just like the one that I showed you at Waiheke, of the boys digging up the carrots with the bunny ears on their heads, that this is the truth hidden in plain sight, but they are being taken down, and their arrogance is exactly what is, and their, it's what is going to trip them up, and so I just don't know what is like. So where is it? Yeah. So here it is again. So this is Queenstown, beautiful city. We have here the bunkers. Beyond belief, totally in your face. And this is what we call art. Over there, these are the tunnels where the children are taken. And this is all meant to just be fantasy. On the wall, read it. And that's what it's all. I was actually led on the wall, there's actually all this writing, and the woman looking after the exhibition said to me, do you know what it's about? I says, yeah, I know what it's about. You tell me what it's about, though. And so she says, oh, it's about safety. It's about safety of the children. Oh, you're right. And so she told me to go over and read what was written on the wall. And there he has all this. She says, oh, it's his, just a fantasy story. It's just, his sort of, made up story. And in it talks about a DRENO chrome, you know, the substance that is drained from children while they're terrified, which is what keeps the stars and these old people alive, and these rich people alive for all these years. But what I just came across to today, I mean, this is all very negative, you know, but on this site that I found today, and it's called the Golden Age of Gaia, you know, so you Christians, don't be frightened by these words. They have programmed you to be frightened by them, okay? But it is a golden age, and it's what God has promised all these years. It's just talking about you know, the love, you know, what this is going to mean. This new age that they're bringing in. It's not just all about the money and the crash that's happening now, that's all part of it, but, you know, it's about, where can I find something? There was just so much. Funds were dispersed with the advent of Christendom's second millennium. As that time approached, however, it became increasingly clear that the cabals who control your world wished to avoid this payout. Therefore, a number of former members who left these groups and secretly supported Count Saint Germain's original intention devised a way to defeat the secret manipulation of their former dark cabals. This resulted in the rise of our earthly allies and an exceedingly complex strategy that took decades to bring to fruition. The process began in a way to ensure that the abundance promised by Count Saint Germain was actually made available to Earth's light workers. Okay, so this is about JFK, and this all relates to all of the signs that I've had, you know, the ones that I've gone right from you know, from the sign of Sirius, you know, when Trump was elected, to the red dragon being cast out of heaven, and especially to the one I had last year of that boat, the Arcturians, because this is also on this site you will find writings from the Arcturians. Yeah, that's right. So sorry. There we go. I'll go take you back. The boats of the Arcturians, and that is the boat you have to get onto. And if you understand what's happening, you know, you won't be filled with fear when they present themselves. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, you can go and have a look at my channel. So there's the Ark of Arcturus. I saw that when I just was holding my camera onto a star in the night sky, and it morphed into that. And that one there, that just explodes, and that was at Trump's election. And so you can look those all up in your own course. Okay, there it is. But you know, what was brought home to me today was these people who we can judge, we can be angry and that, but that's not going to get us or them or anyone. And something that this woman wrote, that I read today about love, unconditional love, like Christ did, was that these people, you know, when you've done things so bad, you think you cannot be forgiven. So, you know, you're beyond redemption, so you may as well just get worse and worse and worse. And that's how I see a lot of the priest pedophiles. You know, you just don't know how they could do these things. But, you know, they just think that they're going to hell, so you might as well just make it worse. But there's another explanation, and that was in this video that I saw of, can't remember who it was now. I sent it to my daughter. I said, please watch it, you know, because it showed this young man being led into a party with these, you know, by an attractive young girl, and him being led through into this place, and until he got to this place where the roof had like lattice in it, and and they were all dancing and having a party, and he thought he was really popular, and it was really great, and and she really fancied him and all that sort of thing. And then he felt the first drop of something on his face, and he looked up, and when he looked up, his mouth was open, and he ended up getting some of these drops in his mouth, and it turned out to be blood. And of course it was that blood. I will write it down, because probably will get flagged. But if you look it up, it is the most expensive, the most valuable thing on earth. Okay, look it up, and it's just highly addictive. And even Mark Zuckerberg, was quoted as saying something that, he didn't like, how it came about, but he said nothing compared to how it made you feel. And I think that is the fact of the matter, and why another person that I saw, who I also can't remember, but he was a very important politician, and he was warned by somebody else, as he was climbing up. He says, whatever you do, don't go to any parties in DC, no matter who invites you. He says, unless, if it's the president, but anyone, anyone less than that, don't go. Because this is it. So it can happen to anyone, the most righteous person, that can happen to, and the blackmailing can happen to. So, there but for the grace of God go I. And we all have to be of that mind, and to know that only in that response of love, complete love, that we forgive even that, as Jesus and God, and God would, that all he wants is us back, and repentance and love. And with that, our whole universe can change, and that's the only way that we will destroy this cabal that only operates through fear and hatred. So hopefully I got you on that, and I'll talk to you some other time. I'm getting ready to go out for dinner tonight, so yeah, I bless you all in Jesus' name.